What's going on, everybody? This is your girl K Rich, and yes, I'm coming at you from a PK perspective. So today we're going to get into some of those topics that I talked about, I think like a video or two ago, that are a little different. They are things that throughout the pandemic and throughout what's been going on, as I've been seeking God's face, things that He's shown and given me revelation for. Not just me, but it's something that has been out for. It's actually foundationally a truth, but we're going to get into it because it's not a basis for salvation, but it's very interesting. It has to do with end time prophecy. There's so much into it, and I am, as you probably can hear, I'm a little bit nervous about talking about it, and even I think I have prolonged this video and postponed doing this video longer than I've done any other video, and it's just because I understand that what I'm going to get into could be perceived as offensive to some people, even though that is not the intention. It could seem exclusive or excluding to some people. That is not the intent. And hopefully, if you are listening to me with an open spirit, an open heart, open mind, you will understand and you will hear what I'm saying and not be offended. Just hear what is being said and the truth of what is being said. So in that time of being quarantined and whatnot, there was so much going on, so much unrest, so much upheaval, so much hatred. It was just so horrible in that time. So much was going on in that time, and I've said in the video, I'm thankful for it, and I don't mean the people dying. I'm talking about that time of having to be pulled away and seeking God's face. Like, I was just so hungry for, okay, God, what is going on? Why are these things happening? Show me. I'm open the eyes of my enlightenment that I can see what is really going on. Like fasting hard, praying hard daily. I'm talking about fasting for time periods that's longer than I've ever fasted in my life. And I'm not talking about a Daniel fast. I'm not talking about a 6 to 6. I'm talking about absolute, just water. And it was just the way he began to reveal things and pull back layers on things and lead me to certain scriptures or lead me to certain people, be it online, through books, through YouTube videos, that I'm like, wow, this is kind of answering some of the questions. Because being a PK, man, there are questions that I have had about what, and I'm looking over there. This is where my worship and Bible and area is. But since I was a kid, questions that I've had about certain scriptures or what was this said for? Why did he say it like this? Who was he talking to? Who are these people? Where are they? Why is it like that? How come Jesus called these people false Jews? And I'm talking about, and people be like, oh, you weren't thinking as a child. Yes, I was. I had a lot of questions, and I still do. And, having these questions and them never being answered, never being addressed, never being, gone over in services. And why, if it's a question that I have as a child, I know adults have to have asked this question, right? If it's a question, this is as I'm getting older. Well, if they haven't answered the question, let me, find, God help me to find the answer to this question. Just digging, right? So I started to read a lot of books, find a lot of educated people, educated professionals who knew Old Testament, New Testament, who had the hermeneutics down, who had the eschatology right, the theologies right. People and taught from a real world perspective. So I'm going to give you some names of who I started off with. The first person that I started listening to is Pastor Eric Mason. And he has a book coming out, Urban Apologetics. Go get it. This is a plug for him. I don't know him, so, I'm not getting none of this. But I read The Woke Church, and I have that in my little book stand over here. But I started to watch his videos and listen to his message and the way he taught the Bible when it comes to everyone, when it comes to the oppressed, the downtrodden, and how we are to actually go out of our way to some extent to minister to those people, the orphans, the widows, the oppressed, the going through the different nuances of how the children of God made it through different times of being in bondage and slavery and this, that, and the third. And he was just, the way he delivered it in such a real way. He's so educated, but he's like, hey, yo, like that. Like, and it was just real. It was tangible. And so he's the first person I got into. The second set of group of people that I got into was the Jude 3 Project. They had some interesting panels and different topics. So Lisa Fields, she was huge in that. And somebody that I got into right after that is Dr. Vincent Bantu. Now, Dr. Bantu has a couple of books out. I don't have his newer book that's out, but I do have A Multitude of All Peoples. And some of these books that I'm going to talk to you guys about, they really, and I'm going to try to say this, some of the people in books that I'm going to talk to you about, they fill in the gaps. Now, when I say fill in the gaps of the Bible, I'm not talking about missing points of the gospel or, new theologies. I'm really talking about timeline, people, place, because there are major gaps in time. And the way the Bible is set up, and I was talking to my mom about this. I went out and bought a chronological Bible. The way that the books of the Bible are arranged are not necessarily in chronological order, time order. Day one, it's not day one to year 2000. It kind of, jumps back and forth because of the way the collection of books were put together. So understanding timeline, understanding who, where, when, why, who's alive, when this person is alive, whose, son is this person. Okay, now what point in time is the grandfather still alive? Who are we talking to? Which, so they put a lot of that type of stuff together, and understanding, and in a way that you can tangibly, you can really see the full picture of things. And this is not saying that the Bible does not do that, but this helped in that timeline. It'd be like, okay, great example. Star Wars. Star Wars is a collection of movies that came out all out of order. Even if you don't watch them in order, you can kind of follow the timeline. But it's something when you watch that set of movies in order that you're really tracing that thing down. But if you only saw, Star Wars 3, Star Wars 6, and then after you watch, Star Wars 4, you watched 1. You get it, but it's not in the, you're missing some characters. You're missing some spaces. Okay, how did they get from here to here, right? Boom. So that's what a lot of these books have done for me. So after I got into Dr. Bantu, he has some amazing, I guess I call them podcast videos and different things where he's breaking down what he would call the African influence on the Gospels. And it's crazy because there is quite a bit. And we'll get into that as I continue throughout the videos. But Dr. Bantu and Dr. Mason and Lisa Fields, I'm not sure if she's a doctor or not, but they go in and bring back to us a dignity of our, I'm going to use this term and I'll add it, of our African roots when it comes to this gospel thing, and how important and how much we've carried. Because you hear a lot of people saying, oh, it's a white man's religion, white man's religion. It's not. It's at no point has it ever been. Now when you start to get into Catholicism, okay, maybe because they made some changes that fit them and their demographic and trying to encompass in, the Greeks and the Romans. I almost called them their original, the Chittim, Edom, a lot of these other groups. They did things to fit in their holidays, their gods, and turned them into saints. And there's so much into that portion of Roman Catholicism that you can kind of say that, but not the gospel of Jesus Christ. It is not a white man's religion. It is not a it's the gospel, period. Dr. Bantu uses a lot of original terms, so he would call it the Bisrat, right? He wouldn't say he's a Christian. He considers himself a Nazarawi, which they're kind of the original terms. And he's, a crazy historian. So you get into that. So the next person that I started to watch is Omar Thibeaux, Pastor Omar Thibeaux. He is so great at making stuff come to light with pictures, PowerPoints, and he's done a few crazy, amazing series. So the first series from him that I began to watch was Hebrew Cosmology. And if you're not ready, you're not ready. But the way that he puts historical evidence, historical documentation, and puts it into the Bible, puts that together into something that he not only teaches via PowerPoint, but he preaches through the Word of God, is yowza, right? So I'm going to try to find all of these links, because I've watched them several times, but it's been a while ago. So I'm going to try to find all these links and put them in the description below. But talking about the firmament, talking about how the days are, and that the day actually starts at sundown, going over different things of the Sabbath, and going in and finding out that these are days, not days, right? So a day, the 7th day, the 15th day, or the 8th day, or whatever day that it is, and being able to know this by different feasts, festivals. He really makes it so plain, because there was no Monday, Tuesday, Saturday. There was day 1, day 2, day 3, like going over the new moons and how they track that lunar solar calendar, right? When and who changed it to a solar calendar, and who changed, like, all of this stuff and I'm telling people, I say this over and over, this information does not save you. This information is not somehow a new theology and a new doctrine that saves me through knowledge. No, never. No. But it puts into perspective the original setup of things that God has, and how even in Scripture it talks about that in the last day that they will, or in these days, that they will change the times, change the calendars, so all of this stuff goes into that fulfillment of prophecy and what is coming to pass, and what is happening now, and what has happened in the past. So that is getting into that was great. Then he did Edom Roots to Rome, or Edom's Roots in Rome, or something like that. And I'll put that down there. I don't remember the title. It's something like that. The Roots of, I think it's Edom's Roots of Rome. But it goes down. This series was, and it's all historically. But it's preached. It's all about history. It's all about lineage. It's all about timelines that are not necessarily included in the Bible. Please, we're just talking about history. We're not talking about doctrine. A book that he used and referenced over and over, that I said, I have to go out and get this and read it on my own, because the way I was raised in church, thank you, Dr. Wayne Anderson, was you go, you read it, you find out. You don't just listen to somebody. You do your own. You open your own Bible. You get in there and get it yourself. So, boom, had to go get this book. So this book is the Works of Josephus. This is pure D history. Josephus was a man that was his entire job, was to write down what was going on, regardless of if it was good or bad. If people, Israel won or lost, he was actually at one point a captive. So it's crazy. As you can see, this is teensy tiny writing. I have a smaller version of this thick version of this book, but I'm telling you guys, get this book. It's going to connect so many dots of who's who, why this person is there, references that are in the Bible, where you're wondering like why is Jesus calling these people a brood of vipers and serpent people and blah, but it's their history, but it's not necessarily put into the canonized Bible that we're reading, right? But it's history. That's like, it doesn't, once again, this does not save you. It does not change doctrine. It does not any of that. It's just following the timeline so that you know how we got from one place to another, why certain things are being said, even to calling people certain names, and lineage. Lineage is extremely important. Lineage does not save you, but lineage is extremely important because there are certain people being talked about. There are certain people that have to come to certain points to fulfill prophecy, i.e., Jesus' father was not David, but steadily, they're saying, thou son of David. Even the demons was like, oh, thou son of David, because it's telling you the lineage and why this person is credible to be the Messiah, why this person is credible to be in this place. You're following their lineage, which is a bloodline that allows them to be or gives them the credentials to be in a certain position. Okay? But it does not, I'm going to repeat this, does not save you. All right? Another book that I read, I'm actually reading, is this book, Babylon the Timbuktu. This is also putting together the timelines of who's who, who's going where, who said what, how did we get to this place, whose ordinances put into place, why, how did these other religions spring up? There's so much in how a people, the original, I'm going to say this, but the original Hebrews, the original Jews got from one place to the next. We know this biblically because Jesus calls the Pharisees false Jews. Why would he say that? And he's talking about in the end times, those that will call themselves Jews but are not. Why would he go over this if this was not a real thing? These two books help you to understand, where did these false Jews come from? Why were they considered false Jews? Why would Jesus call them false Jews? How did they convert to Judaism, or what we would call Judaism today? Where did they come from in that? Why did they choose to do that? These books are going to help you to understand that. And it's not, once again, this knowledge does not save you. It does not redeem you. This knowledge should not and does not change my view of the gospel, and it should not change your view of the gospel. It should actually add in the solidification that God went through, the process that God went through to make sure that his word and his gospel stood on solid ground. Period, for me. Another man of God that I followed, and I wish I would have started following earlier because he passed away, is Dr. Stephen Darby. Yowza. That is my guy. He was so real, but he had such revelation. And I think that I would say, if I was a pastor, that's the type of pastor I think I would be. He was real. He was not, I know you think of pastors, you're thinking of these tight, fluffed up. No, he tells you his story. He's from the hood. He's like an ex-drug dealer. He had his own interaction with the Lord without nobody being there, without nobody laying on hands. And that's his conversion, is relationship with God. And then he got into so much. And I'm going to post one link to the video in this. And I mean, connecting the dots. And it's not that. So someone said to me, oh, don't be out here feeling like God just gave you this new revelation that he didn't give anybody else. I don't feel like that. I don't feel like that. And a lot of people who you don't know these things. A lot of people who you don't think know these things. A lot of people that are in power know these things. A lot of people that are running what's going on are basing what they're doing off of these things. So just because they're not standing from the rooftops screaming it doesn't mean anything. And the big consensus right now is everybody wants it to just be, it doesn't matter. That these truths don't matter. All that matters is I'm saved. That's all that matters. I don't want to know anything else. I'm saved. I'm good. I'm going to heaven, and that's all that matters to me. That shouldn't be. We should be concerned about the truth, the truth, and what that truth means when we're looking at prophecy being fulfilled, the time and day and age that we are in. No other group of believers has done that until now. They always look back at the truth. They always look back at the lineage. They always look back at that to point them in the direction of what was happening in their time and what was yet to be fulfilled in prophecy. And I think it's crazy that we've come to a point where we're like, I'm saved, I'm good. It reminds me of Hezekiah. How when Hezekiah, the prophet, came and was like, man, Hezekiah, when you king, it's going to be straight. But after that, man, it's going to be all downhill. The same Hezekiah who was given the extra 15 years. The same Hezekiah who went against what was being said and showed these people everything in the house, the king's house and the house of God, goes, and when the prophet says, it's going to be good for your time, but after that, it's going to hell in a handbasket. And he rejoices and is like, as long as it's well in my time, we good to go. And that's kind of what it is to say, well, none of this other stuff, none of the history, none of that other stuff matters. As long as I'm saved, we're good to go. As long as we believe in Jesus. No, we have to look at this stuff to put it together, to be able to have understanding of what's going on and what is yet to come. How will we know if we're not tracking the signs? How will we know if we're not following the timeline of what has been prophesied? Now, don't think because I got these books, I'm putting my Bible away. My Bible's over there on my little worship area. I'm like right now, I'm in Ezekiel. I'm just, following some of these prophecies. And I was like, I can't sit here and say that being raised in church my whole life, I can't sit and say that I've heard people preach or teach out of the minor prophets. Obadiah, even out of Ezekiel. The only thing I've known from Malachi is about tithes and offering. There's so much in those books. And I think that people avoid them because you'd have to go down this road to get there, to get those prophecies and the understanding of it. And because I've heard this over and over and over. I hope that y'all are tracking them. I heard this over and over and over during this time of the pandemic. And, we need to get back to prayer. We need to get back to prayer. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray, then I will heal their land. Okay, who is my people, right? Who is the demographic that's being talked about? And people say, it's all the body of Christ. Well, if this is an Old Testament statement, if this is an Old Testament scripture, then it actually is talking about a people. It's talking about a people group, right? Because we haven't come to salvation and being grafted in. We're still under the old covenant at that point. So who is my people? Then who does that people translate over to in the New Testament? Then who does that people translate over to up until now, right? So there's a lot going around, and I've seen, and a lot of people have seen this huge uptake in different camps of like Hebrew Israelites, where they believe that the Negro in America and in other places that have come over in the slave trade are the original Hebrews. I know y'all are going to think that I'm crazy, but I believe it too. But I do not believe what the Hebrew Israelites believe about that. They feel that because they are these people, that they are already engrafted into salvation, and that they will be, regardless of whatever, we just going on and we're going to, no. You still have to come in through Jesus. no matter what your lineage is, no matter who and who you are, whose lineage you still, there's no way to get in without Jesus. I don't care if you want to call him Jesus, Yeshua, Yahushua. It's Jesus. The same Yahweh, Yeshua, and if you if you want to go the Ruach HaKodesh, we know all of this. A lot of people know all of this, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, in its language. And that's fine. If you want to use those terms, that's fine. I use them. I interuse them. Sometimes I may say Jesus. Sometimes I may say Yeshua. Sometimes I may say Yahushua, Yahweh. It's just like if somebody said, Kayla, I'm going to look up. If somebody was like, Kay, I'm going to look up. If my people was like, Book, I'm going to look up. I know that they're talking to me. So I'm not too much of a stickler on that. But to understand, to track the lineage of a people and to know who they are, who is being spoken to, I have to follow the history, right? Even in how the slave trade began. What area was that? It was Negro land, right? And then in Negro land, you had the kingdom of Judah. And in that area became the slave coast. Just like when they knew where the gold was, there was a strip and it was the Gold Coast, right? So I'm not going to sit and act as if this stuff has no effect on things and this stuff just doesn't matter at all, because it does. Because it's spoken of again in Revelation. It's spoken of again in Jude. It's spoken up again in the book of Hebrews, which is actually a letter written to the Hebrews, a New Testament letter written to the Hebrews. So, it's, and I know people are going, you just jumped on this bandwagon. And I am a person that if it's true, if it's fact, if it's documented, people are like, this is not documented. It's documented. It's documented. Even stuff as crazy as a firmament. When you go into the old school encyclopedia, I want to say it's pre-1958, but it talks about the dome and the firmament and people actually seeing it, running into it, measuring its height. And this is in Antarctica, prior to them, of course, making this treaty work. Now you wonder, I can't go to Antarctica. Why can't I go? If I just wanted to go be real cold in Antarctica, I can't go, right? Why? And it just goes into so much of what the people in power, the evils of this world are doing to keep us from being able to accept Jesus as our Lord and Savior, from being able to be grafted in. Look at the persecution even at this point that Christians are under just for believing in their faith, just for saying, I don't believe in this. I don't believe that is right. And I believe that this is the word of the Lord, and this is what he said. You just hate, and it's phobia this, phobia. No, it's just, this is the truth this is the truth, and I believe the truth. I don't believe in, and I hate people saying, my truth. There's no such thing. It's either the truth or it's not. There's no my truth. It just is or it isn't. And I'm hearing that even more and more in the church. Believe in my truth. No, it's the truth, or it's something I think. Something I think or I believe. Or it's, that's just, because if your truth says my truth is false, then whose truth is true, right? But if it's just the truth, whether or not you want to add your 2 cents in on it or not, or I want to add my 2 cents in on it or not, is irrelevant. So when it comes to, only Hebrews are going to get a chance, no. The Bible specifically talks about grafting in the Gentiles, the time of the Gentiles being over. It talks about, going into Egypt again in ships, and these different times and timelines of when this time of the Gentiles will be over. Why? That the fact that we were so rebellious, such an adulterous nature. I even asked that, why are they saying adulterous nature? This means adulterous generation, adulterous. It's because we were literally like cheating on God. You're cheating on God when you go into these other idols and I mean, come on. Going to these other idols, worshiping them, after a God that just got y'all here, parting the Red Sea, getting y'all out. Y'all really just made a whole golden calf and worship this joint? Like after a while, longer than that would have took me, God was like, okay, I got to do this. It's gone too far. So yes, there are certain things that fall on the Hebrew people, and you could go down, and a lot of these things go over. Once again, I'm saying lineage. Who's Shem, Ham, Japheth, right? Yes. How they write down, these people write this is historically documented that it says and it states and it is that Ham is the descendants of all the dark skinned races except the Negro. It's clear, very clear, except the Negro, who is the descendants of Shem. So when people say, "Oh, you're being anti-Semitic," well, I can't really. No, not really. Like, so there's so much that when you look in the lineage, it's telling you. People that came from the land of the Khazars, and you can't even find that now on a map. Just like you can't find Negro land on a map. They've changed it so much that you can't even find these places. But these are real places and real people. From the land of the Khazars, which is kind of Russia, Ukraine-ish area, and they converted to Judaism. They are what we would consider nowadays Ashkenazi Jews, right? But then you have people like the Ethiopian people. There are black Ethiopians that still practice Judaism, the original church. They have the most complete Bible, the oldest, most complete Bible is still there in their possession. It's so much to it. And this is not to exclude anyone. This is not to be prejudiced against anyone. This is facts. That'd be like saying that people that were brought over from Africa in ships and slaves were black, and then you say, no, that's racist. Anybody could have been brought over. Like, like, no, this is just a fact of information, and it does not exclude anyone. It does not change the gospel of Jesus Christ. It does not change that you still have to give your life unto the Lord to receive salvation. It does not change any of that. It actually illuminates it because it shows you how God wove this thing together to fit it just right so that prophecy could be fulfilled at the right times in the right places and all come together for his return, the day of the Lord, right? So I'm going to probably keep going into some of this stuff and breaking it down. I just had to get it out. So if it seemed like it was a lot, this is just, me leaping off of the bridge, just jumping because I went back and forth because it's not my intent to be offensive. It's not my intent to be exclusive. And it's not. It's just my intent to be factual and to start to plant seeds in people's minds to go do your own research. So please, after you watch this, go do your own research. Start to dig and find the connecting chords and different things. And, it's not the most comfortable thing for me to do. And I'm actually trying not to cry. I just want everybody to know the truth. I don't want people to be deceived. I don't want people to have to question themselves, who they are, their particular ministry, because I know I've done that. I know that I've had to really battle within myself, even bring myself to do this, because nobody wants to be the creepy weird Christian, right? Which is why a lot of people stay away from it. There's so many people that believe this and know this, but they stay away from it because they don't want to be the creepy Christian or the seen like the black sheep of whatever, because these truths have come up and blessed them or shown them so much. Like I told somebody, it's literally like the Bible went from being a regular piece of paper to those books when you were a kid and you opened it up and everything just popped up like, oh, and you can see all the intricate detail in this pop-up thing. And the more and more I go, the more vivid it gets. It went from now a pop-up. When I got this, it went from being a pop-up book to being 3D IMAX. And I'm not, anybody knows me, I love everybody. And it's not to be offensive, and it's kind of sucky to always be the one outside of the box and kicking against the prick or bringing stuff. And it's not, like I said, once again, this is not something that I feel like, oh, God gave me this rebel. It's just me, and it's no, this is just history and putting pieces together and connecting things. So I pray that this blesses everybody. Please go do your own research. Please go do your own research. Please go do your own research. Don't take my word for it, but dig on your own. So I pray that this is blessing everybody. I'm going to continue to stay on this uncomfortable path of whatever God says. So, yeah, I pray that this blesses you. I want more than anything for us to have clarity in the decisions we make. The Bible talks about the great deception and that the lack of knowledge is what destroys us, right? My people perish for lack of knowledge. This is so much knowledge that we lack. And we go seeking a bunch of other knowledge, and it doesn't help propel the gospel, but this does. This helps us prepare for what's taking place. This helps us to propel the gospel. Even finding out, like, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be when the Son of Man... Okay, what were the days of Noah like? What was going on? It wasn't just, oh, it was bad. It was sin. Like, it's sin. Like, what were they like? I want to know so that I can be prepared. And this is all that I'm bringing in this. So I pray that it blesses you guys. Once again, I'll be doing more videos. I want you guys to have a great week. It's Tuesday. Have a great week. Finish strong. Go do your research. But most importantly, I want you to find glory in the King and go be great. Peace.